As 2024 draws to a close and January of 2025 is quickly approaching, it seems like a good time to review everything I sewed in 2024, including the things that didn't quite work out and didn't quite get finished. So keep watching. Hi, I'm Tony. This is Sew Lounge. And these are the outfits that I sewed in 2024. Now, every year at this time, when I make one of these videos, I kind of have a slight panic of, did I sew enough over the last year to actually have a bunch of stuff to show for the video? And usually the answer is yes, I did, and I have plenty of things to show. Not so much this year. Despite the fact that it felt like I did a lot of sewing, I really didn't. And this rack is kind of proof of that. And some things really did not work out at all. So we're going to be taking a look at those things and where I spent so much of my time this past year. And, maybe talk about some realistic goals for next year. We shall see. Now these aren't in the exact order because I did not go back through all my videos and time everything in chronological order, so we're just gonna go with the order that I hung them up with. So this is McCall's 8166. This is the dress that I made to go to the Matisse exhibit at the Museum of Fine Arts using this gorgeous Liberty Tanalon fabric that I bought in London last year. I finally put it to use and made this gorgeous dress. I also wore it to my friend Jen's 50th birthday party, which was a lot of fun, and it was very festive and pretty. The bad news is that it's a little too big right now because I have lost some weight, and I did make this in a size 16 instead of the 14 because that's what fit at the time. So this is one of those dresses that may get remade at some point in the future just so I can wear it because I do really, really love the fabric, but it's a little bit too big in like the shoulders and bust area now. Since I've been working out, it's kind of everything's toned up through here and it's just not quite the fit that I want, especially with this V-neck. It kind of goes a little bit lower than I would like. This was from, this was a free pattern from the Avid Seamstress. This you may recognize from the Avoid the Homemade Look video, which was all about pressing and how to press your garments. There was a lot of controversy around the fact that I used printed fabric to make this top instead of a solid color like the bad version, which I should have kept in hindsight to show next to each other, but I was so aggravated with it that I just threw it away. Or I can't find it. I don't know where it is. It might have ended up in the trash. But so this was some Thai batik that my sister bought when she went to Thailand. That is why I only had enough to make one top. And this is the top I wanted to make in this pattern. And then the idea to do a comparison with the solid color fabric kind of came after I was already in the process of making the video with this top. And so that's how that all came about, that, the bad version was in the solid color and the good version was in the printed fabric. And, it's a cute top. It's boxy. I like it. It looks super cute with jeans. I have worn it a lot. I will probably get more wear out of it. It is very warm here in Texas for the wintertime. I think today it's about 75 and humid. So 3/4 length cotton top is going to be perfect for this weather unless winter shows up at some point. So I expect to get more wear out of this in the next couple of months. Next on the list is a remake. Butterick 6680. This I originally made in summer of 2022. It was a total disaster. I did blame the Butterick pattern, so I'm sorry. It was not the pattern, it was me. I cut this out in 3 different sizes. So I cut it out. Some of the seams were on a 16, some of them were on an 18, and the skirt was actually on a 20, and I have no idea what I was doing. Back then, I tended to cut out patterns while watching TV, and I can either confirm or deny that I was watching Bridgerton episode 6 of the very first season when I was cutting. But something went terribly wrong, and I definitely was not paying attention to that pattern. When I tried to sew it up, nothing fit. The skirt was uneven. It was a total disaster, but I really liked this fabric. I got it when my local Joann's was closing and moving into the bigger shop. It is a jersey knit lyocell spandex blend, and so it's super, super soft and comfortable. It has some ruching on the side, which gives it a nice little detail, also hides the tummy a little bit. And so I kind of had it saved and all ripped apart. And it wasn't until I pulled out the pattern again and laid the pieces out that I realized what I had done. So once I cut everything down to a size 14, which is the appropriate size for the amount of stretch in this pattern, that was another thing I didn't know back in 2022. It fit. And so I got that dress completely remade, and I have worn it a lot over the summer because it's just so comfortable. So next up is going to be New Look 6263. I did make this version of the dress with the polka dots. I used some similar fabric to what was actually shown, and it turned out very well. This was a sew-along. If you missed it and you want to go back and take a look at it, I will leave a link in the description below, and you can go check out this dress. I'm happy with the way it turned out. I like the pattern placement on it. It's very comfortable to wear. This was actually a quilting fabric that I bought from my friends at Leo 9, but it is a beautiful weight broadcloth, so it's a very high quality, fine weave, and so it's totally suitable for apparel fabric as well. The designer is actually an architect by trade, so his fabric designs are very geometric and graphic, which I also really, really liked. So I wore this for my birthday in June, and that was fun, and it was, you know, just pretty and comfortable, and it's a great weight for summers here in Texas. Coming up next is the Simplicity 9884 Jiffy dress that I tried to sew in an hour, I think, or 2 hours. I can't remember at this point, which is now in many pieces because I ripped it apart with the hope that I would redo it in time to take it for my honeymoon, and it did not happen. So it is in pieces. If you want to see what it looks like, you can check out the video. I will leave a link in the description below. And if you're wondering why I'm not modeling all these clothes, I am recovering from a head cold right now, and it's taking all my energy to make this video, and I do not have the energy to go put on all these clothes and accessorize them and model them for you. So my apologies. Hopefully you can bear with it. I will pop in some pictures at the end to kind of show you how I wore these. Not this one, of course, because it did not get worn. So that takes us up through the spring to the beginning of the summer. Now, I got engaged in March, and I was going back and forth with a design for my dress. This is my second marriage. I did not design my dress the first time around because I was finishing up law school and studying for the bar, and I just did not have time. So this time I wanted to make my dress, and I wanted to do something unusual and kind of different. And so I was going back and forth with dresses. And June kind of kicked off my inspiration with a dress I found at a local boutique. They did not have it in my size. And so I thought, hey, I'm going to try and make this dress. And so I initially started with the idea using this dress from Butterick. It is 6557. This is an out of print pattern that I found on Etsy. And I like the fact that it had one shoulder, which is the same as the dress that I was modeling mine after. It did have bust darts and center front darts, all same with the other dress. And it did kind of have like an overlay piece, which I was trying to figure out. So there's a whole series of wedding dress videos. I'm going to create a playlist, and you can go check that out if you want to see the whole saga, because it's like four videos, I think. It was a long, lengthy process. I feel like I spent the entire summer trying to sew this dress. I made it in muslin using the Butterick pattern. So this was the first version, and trying to get the fit right. And so I kind of marked it up. Thankfully, my friend Jen helped me with some of the fitting to try and get it right. This was the first version. It was not great. The muslin is a little bit heavy compared to the fabric. I was using raw silk. And then this was the second version, which was in a lighter weight muslin. And, you know, in and of itself, this dress does not look horrible, but I was trying to create an entire overlay with a, you know, kind of like a front panel, and then the back turned into a big bow with a train. And, you know, if you watch the videos, you know what I'm talking about. It just was not working. And so by about August, I realized that I was not going to have a dress if I kept pursuing this course of trying to design my own dress, I realized that my draping skills were not quite as awesome as I remembered them being from college. And then I ended up ordering the dress, and then I realized that it was absolutely impossible to make the dress that was the picture on the website, because the dress I ordered didn't even look like that. So at that point, because I couldn't wear that dress, it didn't fit at all. Um, I said, okay, got to come up with plan B. And so I started looking at patterns that were fairly easy, and I found McCall's 7865. So I made this version A, which has a train on it, but it does not have the overlay. And it is the little cap kind of sleeves. This is in print. This is a gorgeous dress. It is also very easy and fast to sew compared to this one. So I will say that I did make this dress unbelievably fast, considering I wanted to have it done in September. My wedding was October 12th, and I did not want to be sewing in October because at that point I wanted to be working on some of the clothes that I was planning to take on my honeymoon. So I did make a mock-up in muslin just to kind of get the fit. Thankfully, the size 14 fit very well. There was a little bit of adjustment that I needed to do with the bust darts, just because I was wearing a strapless bra with a lot of contouring in it. So I had to kind of just adjust the dart to be able to fit around it. But all in all, you know, I made the muslin, put in the zipper, got the sleeves all attached, and it fit. So that's when I decided to cut it out in the silk, take that next step, and this is the finished dress. It turned out very, very well. I'm happy with it. I really do like this dress. It looked beautiful at the wedding. And I would actually wear this again, but I will cut off the train to do that because the train is very long, and it did get, well, it didn't get stepped on at the wedding because I was very careful to not move around too much. But if I wore it out in public, I think it would drag and get dirty and then, you know, not look great. So at some point I will cut this off when I do have an occasion to wear this. The one thing I think should be noted that I forgot about, because I have not used shantung silk in a very, very long time, is that as I was working on the dress, the hem was raveling and it was just like fraying out. So the crosswise threads of this fabric, which are blue because there's basically two colors, that's what makes it iridescent. The blue, the blue yarns just basically all fell apart. So by the time I got to hemming the dress, after having tried it on and done fittings and taken it off and put it back on and everything, I had nothing left of a hem. So I did a very tiny rolled hem on my serger, and that was actually the right length because I lost like almost 1.5 inches from just moving around and from the raveling. So something to keep in mind if you use shantung silk, that that is a problem. I should have done a basting stitch, or I should have just serged that raw edge and then had something to fold up later, but I just didn't realize that was going to be a problem. In August, I went to the Sewing and Quilting Expo up in Irving, Texas, which is just outside of Dallas, and I forgot that I made 2 more garments during that experience. Now, the first one was a measure and tear kimono jacket that was sewn completely on a serger, which was really, really fun. It did not fit me because the lady helping me take my measurements did not measure me correctly. And so it ended up being too small, but I do have a picture of me wearing it. So this is the jacket that I made. It's a little bit too tight to kind of be a kimono jacket, so I ended up giving it to Grandma. But it was a really fun project that was fairly quick. And if you're interested in learning how to make that, let me know in the comments below, because I've been thinking about doing it. And like I said, it's a full-on complete serger project using your rolled hem to put it all together. So it was very, very fun. And then the other class that I took where I actually made something was a class to make leggings. And these are the leggings. They actually fit. These are made out of Ponte knit, so it's a very stable knit. This Banana Republic made some pants like this. They kind of hold everything in real well, so you don't have a lot of lumps and bumps. It's a thicker knit. It is a double knit. And They turned out pretty well. They're not quite finished because the last step I had to do was sew the waistband into place using a cover stitch machine, and I kind of got off and it kind of is a little bit lumpy. So I needed to take that out. But now that I have my own cover stitch machine, I can actually get these finished and hopefully wear them. So those were two more things that I forgot to include in my rack. So that takes us through September. And I started to, once my dress was done and I could breathe a sigh of relief and, whew, okay, that's done, I decided to start making some clothes for the honeymoon. So, in no particular order, this is the dress that I made. This is, let me find this pattern. This is McCall's 8058. This is still in print. I love this dress pattern. It is super easy. So I don't think this is actually one of the versions. This was my version. This is kind of the midi length, short sleeve with a higher neck. I bought this fabric. This is just I think this is a polyester jersey that I bought at Joann's on sale. I just thought it was pretty and very vibrant. And then this is the same dress. This is a poly spandex, so it has a little bit more stretch jersey than the other one. And this is the shorter version with 3/4 length sleeves and the scoop neck. And, you know, both of those were a lot of fun to wear on the honeymoon. And then this was the 1 hour new look easy dress. So this is new look 6347. And I did this as an hour challenge. It is not possible to sew this dress in an hour. That is what we all found out together. But the dress turned out well. I'm still not super happy with the finish on the neckline. They had you use a really wide bias tape, and it just did not work. I ended up using a narrower bias tape in the sleeves or the armholes to get them finished. But, you know, if you take the time to finish all the seams, which I did, I finished all the seams with my serger, you can't do this in an hour, which is shocking because it's really just, it's basically three pieces. It's the front, two back pieces, and then some bias tape. But it turned out well. I think it took me about just under 2 hours because I was fighting with the bias tape for so long. But all in all, it worked out. It was really fun to wear. I got some turquoise cowboy boots to wear with this, and so cowgirled it up a little bit. Then, this is kind of the last thing that I sewed for a while, was this dress. It is the same McCall's pattern as the other two. I made this for our reception party that we had here at my house once we got back from the honeymoon. We had a very small wedding, and so I wanted to have other friends and more extended family come to that party. And so this was the dress I made, and I made it pretty quick. I made it the week of the party and didn't even put my label in it, but it's super cute. This is another polyester jersey that I got at Joann's on sale, and I just thought it was fun. So that's what we went with. And I didn't do any more sewing for a while. I got busy with everything happening at the end of the year. Honey had surgery on the 11th of December, and then we were going through the recuperation period of that. She's okay. She just tore her ACL, and you know, that's what happens when you have an active dog who's 11. So that put a damper on my December sewing plans. I had planned to make some videos sewing fleece projects that were going to become Christmas gifts, and it turned out that I just sewed them and didn't make any videos. So one of the patterns that I sewed was this one. I made this for Dan for Christmas. This is McCall's 5252. I made version B, but I left off the pockets because they were kind of these weird like front pockets, and Dan's not going to use pockets like that. Plus, I had a time crunch to get these finished. So I made this mostly with my serger. And I did put the zipper in by, you know, with my regular machine, but the inside's all serged. It's all nice and neat, and I'm happy with the way it turned out. He actually opened the box on Christmas Day. I was like, oh, babe, what a nice jacket. Thank you. And I'm like, I made it. And he's like, really? It looks like you bought it at a store, which is very kind because if you look closely, there are a couple of little flaws, but he's happy with it. It fits perfectly, and that's the important thing. I also made a jacket for Grandma. It's the same jacket that I've already made 3 previous times. And so I don't have it because she's wearing it. It's blue and white, and that's what she wanted. She picked out the fabric herself. So, you know, she was really excited about that and to get another jacket. So now she's up to 4, but she loves to wear them. So it's all good. And then moving on to the things that did not get finished this year, but will get finished shortly. So I was using the same pattern that I used for Dan's jacket to make a vest for my mom. Now, the difference is that the pattern does not have a lining in it. And so I wanted to do this nice fleecy Sherpa lining, and figuring out how to do a lining and attach everything when there's no lining in the pattern is a bit of a challenge. So plus it was, you know, hardcore with a head cold while I was trying to do this. I put the zipper in upside down on one side. So I had to rip that all out. And, you know, the fleece is very linty. And so I'm on my way. I need the zipper's in right now. And so I just need to finish the lining and attach it to the front and then finish the hem and finish the collar. So that's pretty close to being done, but we're not quite there yet. And then it's funny because someone left a comment on one of my videos asking about this jacket and how it turned out. It hasn't been finished. I will get this finished probably sooner rather than later, just because I need it so that I can make bound buttonholes with Grandma, because that was the whole point of making this jacket, was to do that. Now this is Simplicity 3631. I am making this belted version here on the front, and I need to just get it finished. So we can do that coming up in the spring. And then the other thing that I did not get finished that I had planned to finish up in May was this lovely kimono jacket. This is also a Simplicity pattern. This is 1318, so you can see it there. And I have been having a beast of a time attaching this band to the body of the jacket because it is not matching up at the shoulders where I have to ease it in. So if I have the notches matched and the shoulder seams matched, it's just not easing in. So this is one of those things where, you know, sometimes when you've been working on something, you just need to like hang it up and walk away, because I was spending so much time trying to work it out in my head that I just couldn't do it anymore. That's kind of the same thing that's happening with this vest that I'm making my mom. Is it was just turning into a lot of, it was just getting to be too complicated, and it was driving me a little bit crazy. And so I just had to stop for a little while. Plus I wasn't feeling good. So factor all that in, it gets to be a lot. And, you know, thank you for your patience and listening to this video, because my voice is starting to sound weird again. That's what I've done this year. And if you asked me what I'd done before I started this video, I thought that I had a few more things. Oh wait, no, I skipped one. I did have one more thing. I made this top and this skirt, and where's the pattern? That is not it. Here it is. This is also McCall's 8482. I made this version, and it turned out super cute. I did not wear the top on my honeymoon because it's a midriff and I was not comfortable. But I did wear the skirt, and it did turn out really well, and it looks great with boots. And I had a Western style fringe jacket that I wore with it. I had talked about cutting this into a bolero top, but you know, it's really cute as a midriff, and in the right environment, like if I go down to Mexico or go on a cruise, I think it would be totally appropriate to wear something like that. Plus, I am working on getting toned up through my midriff, so I would not be self-conscious when I wore it. So I think that might just stay. So that is really it. That is everything I sewed this year. I did have my denim dress cut out. It did not make the cut to go on the honeymoon. It is still in pieces, which I'm kind of glad about, because now that I know how to gather with my serger, that will make that whole process a lot faster. The gathering on this skirt took forever because I had to do it by hand, and because I had not figured out how to do that on my serger yet. So that's what I did this year. It's kind of surprising to me that I didn't sew more. And that's kind of always on my list of goals that I write every morning is sew more to reduce stress and boost creativity using fabric from the stash. So that's probably going to be one of the resolutions for next year, to actually do more sewing, even if I don't make videos about it, to just get some more sewing done. And if you're feeling the same way, kind of like, oh, I didn't do as much as I wanted this year and I didn't get as much sewn, it's okay. It's okay. There's always next year. We are winding down December very, very quickly. And, you know, if everything didn't work out exactly the way you wanted, that's okay. You know, my wedding dress turned out beautiful. I had clothes, new clothes to wear on my honeymoon, which made me happy, and they were fun to accessorize. And, you know, if I didn't get as much sewing done as I thought, it's okay. Life goes on. There will be more time to sew next year. And I already have some projects kind of started. So, you know, if I start with those, I'm going to be ahead of the game come January. So be sure to check out the photo montage coming up next, so that you can kind of see how I wore some of these outfits. And until next year, have a very, very happy new year, and I will see you soon.